I advertised in the Facebook group this week that we are very excited today to be talking to Helen Clutton. Helen is a dear, dear friend of mine. I've known her for quite a long time. Our boys were at school together. At the time we first met, she was studying law, and so quite different to what she's doing now. So I've never really asked her how she transitioned to what she's doing now and what drew her to it. And I gave a brief description, and I love that she said, surrounding yourself only with the items you absolutely love and have a practical purpose will give you a joyous life. And I loved that. So Helen, tell us how you got where you are, what took you to it, and what you love, just go.
Okay, well, that's already a huge topic, really, but so I was practicing criminal law, and I worked up in London. I had a very, very busy practice and a very, very busy life. I had a family, 2 boys that you know, and a husband and a house and a dog and a horse, and working full time and being in court an awful lot. So I was preparing lots of cases at home and working really silly hours. And it dawned on me that I was, really struggling and something had to give. And then I realized that the way we were living, the house that we were living in, just wasn't sort of working properly. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't running properly for me. And it was about the sort of time when Marie Kondo sort of came over to the UK, and everybody was like, oh, Marie Kondo, the lovely Japanese organizer, super organizer. And I read a couple of her books, and I went on a course, and it all just made sense to me. I reorganized all my stuff. Then I reorganized my husband's stuff, and then gradually reorganized the whole house. And over time, everything became easier. Our lives just sort of worked better. I felt sort of released from the sort of strain of always trying to catch up, if you see what I mean. So I felt that I was sort of ahead of myself. And it just felt really good. And because of the way I have been trained to organize, it's not about being immaculate all the time and having the most perfect house when people come around, and having, being a complete minimalist. Because as you know, you've been to my house, it's a friendly home, and we have things around us all the time and lovely memories and so on. But the idea, as far as I'm concerned, is that everything has a place. So I only have things that I absolutely love. So of course, then you're surrounding yourself with things that are wonderful every time you look at them. It could be something as mundane as a light, a lamp, the case that you put your glasses in. I like this. It's tactile. I like the way it feels. And so, to have that with me is wonderful. So that's sort of how I got into the organizing. But of course, I was still working up in London, and in 2017, we moved to West Sussex. I had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2014. And at the time, we started to make a plan, thinking that I was going to have probably deteriorated quite a bit by 2017, and thinking about what we could do. So we made this sort of midterm plan to move to Sussex. But actually, I've been really, really well. The medication I'm on is absolutely fantastic. I've got loads of energy. And so I didn't want to commute up to London anymore. I wanted to do something completely different. So, I set up hspace in 2017, and off we went. And when I go and talk to local groups and, the WI and things, I now call my talk from criminal to minimal, because I went from criminal law to being a declutterer.
I love it. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that on your website?
Actually, it isn't, but I do say I'm available for public speaking, but I don't say what the name of my talk is. But the thing that I do like to do is, when I give the talk, is to sort of go through what happened and the detail of how it happened, and just in passing mention the Parkinson's. And I'm doing that now as well, because it's something that's very much at the center of my life, but it doesn't control, it doesn't take over. It's not, you know, we're able, I say we because my husband's a great supporter of me, and you know, we can cope with it, we manage it, we deal with it, and then we just get on, and it's been absolutely fine. It's been fine.
Because you've mentioned the Parkinson's, I'm curious, do you feel like, because you and I have discussed this in terms of the connection between decluttering, you know, what it does for you physically and mentally, do you feel like perhaps that's been a contributor to your feeling so well? I know the medication
Oh yeah,
is huge, but
yeah. I think you're right, Betsy. I think that has a great impact on me. If I am in a room that is a mess, I just don't feel well, regardless of whether I've got the Parkinson's or not. I just don't feel right. That's me, because I am known in my family and with my friends to be somebody who likes to just sort of, as I walk through places, just put that away, pop that away, sort that out, so, you know, just quickly. But that's because I'm really conscious of what the effect is on me. I know what it's doing to me, but many people live in chaos, and they actually are not aware of the impact it is absolutely having on them. I have no doubt that you know, if you live in a chaotic space, and your life is in chaos, it is it's really bad for your mental health. I have to just put the proviso in there that I'm not a psychologist, I'm not trained in any way, I'm not a counsellor, I've never studied psychology, but it's just how I feel, and I have noticed the effects of on my clients over the last 3 years, of how they feel when we have finished a job. They just feel completely different and so much better.
I'm glad you mentioned your clients, because I'm really curious. When you're working with your clients, do you have them do a questionnaire, like what is bothering them about their space, or how do you figure out what they need in terms of the mental and physical changes?
Yeah, well, I always have a consultation with my clients. I go see them one-to-one, and we sit down, we have a jolly good chat. What I would say is that frequently clients are unable to pinpoint exactly what the problem is, and it's only afterwards that they realize how much better they feel. So I can see very often what the problem is, but it's very sensitive. It's a sensitive subject for a lot of people. They don't think or don't realize that they are in chaos, and but they know, for example, that they may have a pile of papers in the corner of the kitchen that they just never seem to be able to get rid of, and it bugs them. So they might point that out, but they might not be mentioning you know, if I have a quick peek in the cupboards, they might not be mentioning the fact that they've got, you know, 4 toasters, or you know, or a cupboard that when you open it, everything falls on you. Right. They might not think so much about that, but they know something's niggling them, but they don't know what it is sometimes. Other times I go and see clients and they're very firm about what they want to achieve. Say, for example, if they are going to be downsizing and they really know that they need to declutter and they're ready for it. But it's the particular clients who can't quite pinpoint what it is they want to do, but they just know that they want to get sorted. It's afterwards, when they look back, that's when they can sort of identify where the issues were.
Okay. So is your debrief as important as the briefing to start, so that then they realize the value, you know, in so many other ways, not just that their place now is decluttered? Is that part of your service?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do a debrief because what happens is, Betsy, is that people, some clients in these particular circumstances will very often call us in, but then be very, very reluctant to let anything go. They occasionally, I've had clients who get a bit grumpy, kind of almost look at me as if I'm trying to take stuff away from them, which of course I'm not.
Right.
And they start very, very slowly, but it's like a sort of muscle in the brain. Something happens, and I can say without fail that every client I've worked with has started slow and speeded up very, very quickly.
Oh,
Very, very, to the point where I'm having to say to them, let's just think about this for a minute, because this is
okay.
when things just throw it. You know, you start to get like that. And I say, well, let's just see, you know, is it valuable? Does your sister want it? Do you need to give it to your cousin or whatever?
Okay.
Just think about it. But yes, this is without doubt what happens. You know, it's once they get into it, they just start to speed up, and it becomes easier as we go along. Yeah. So
Interesting.
the
So
debrief
they're
is
on that,
actually kind of
they're on that
happening
high.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So for people who are listening to this video, are there some tips that you would give them maybe to get in touch with those feelings that, wait, you know, what I've been feeling, stressed, whatever, this is about clutter, you know, and not realizing that maybe that is the issue for them as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think what I would recommend is that, you know, people just have a look at their surroundings, have a look at an item, and such as your handbag, for example, or the inside of your car, or the inside of your garage. Not necessarily the whole house. Just have a look at a part of something, pick something up, look inside your wardrobe, and if you feel blocked when you look at it, then it's probably time that something has to be done to unblock your mind. And a very, very good way to do that, of course, is to declutter. What I would say is, if clients are, or people are thinking about decluttering, we always declutter in categories. So we don't do it room by room. We would do all the books in the house together. We bring them all. So you do categories. So you bring all the books into one room and declutter from there. Because until you've actually seen how much you've got of something, you can't really appreciate what needs to go and what you want to keep.
Such a great tip. I love that.
Yeah, and it really works. It really works. Clients of mine had many t-shirts, but it wasn't until we put them all on the bed that he realized he had over 120, and he just couldn't believe it. Yeah, we got them from all different cupboards around the house, the laundry basket, everywhere, and put them all together. And he said, oh my gosh, you know, I didn't realize. And he was quite happy to let a lot of those go. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so clutter by categories. I love that. Do you put a time limit on the clutter events? You know, like when you're with them, do you say, we're going to do this for X amount of time and then we're going to take a break, or I'll come back tomorrow, whatever?
No, I don't ever put I always say to my clients, this is my hourly rate, and I can't tell you how long it's going to take, because it entirely depends on the client. If they speed up and they want to really get going, we're right beside them the whole time. We can keep up with them if they need it. But equally, if they want to take things slow, that's fine. What sometimes happens is that we'll be jogging along very, very happily, and suddenly we'll hit a wall. And it can be the most mundane little object that will just suddenly stop them dead in their tracks. And they'll either want to tell you a story, or they'll cry and tell you a story, or they'll laugh and tell you a story, or they'll suddenly, you know, so you just don't know how long anything's going to take. So I never put a limit on anything.
No, I appreciate that. That makes very good sense. You mentioned things that bring up an emotional response, a strong emotional response.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're a very good listener and you allow that venting. Is there something that you do then to help them move past that, or do you just wait? Wait.
Yeah. I think this is true about listening. It's really important. I work with an assistant as well, so we have a sort of between the two of us, we can communicate without speaking. You know, we both know. We look at each other and we know this is a moment to go put the kettle on, to have a little sit down, to leave the room, whatever is right for that client. And I can give you an example. I had a lovely client. She was 93, and she was finally, she lived on her own, and she was finally going to move into a retirement flat. So she was downsizing, and she was telling us, we'd already been there a day, and she was telling us how much, well, what a terrible relationship she'd had with her late sister. Her sister had died 3 years previously. In fact, she went on and on about it all the time. You know, this was her main thing. She said her sister this, her sister that. They never got on. Her sister, you know, treated her like a maid, and you know, it was a very poor relationship according to her. On the other hand, she said she had the most incredible relationship with her husband, who had died 20 years previously. He made everyone smile. He made everyone laugh. He made everyone feel happy. He cuddled her. He loved her. He made her feel like $1 million. So we're going along, and we found an old plastic kitchen clock that was no longer working. And I picked it up and I said, "Oh, do you want this? Presumably you don't want this." And she said, "Oh, no, give it to me." And she grabbed it. And I said, "Oh, what's this? What's this all about? What is this?" And she said, "My sister gave me that." I'm thinking, okay. I said, "Oh, okay. So, but it's not working anymore, and you know, you don't seem to have such great memories of your sister." She said, "I don't care, I want to keep it." And I said, "Let me see if I can try and fix it first." So we put new batteries in and so on. It didn't work. In the end, I said to her, "Look, you're downsizing, and I fully appreciate you've got your reasons why you want to keep this clock. How would you feel if I took a photograph of you holding the clock, and then I gave you the photograph for your memory box?" And she said, "Actually, yeah, that would be a really good idea." So we did that. Then I came across some photographs in a brown envelope of her wedding day, in, you know, black and white photos from the 50s, I think. And I said, "Oh, I found your wedding photographs. Of course, I'll put those, you know, somewhere safely." She said, "Oh no, you can throw those away." So which I didn't incidentally, but away from her. But it was so contra to what she'd been saying about everything. So people are so complex. I wouldn't even dream of knowing why that happened the way it did. But yes, it is through listening and paying attention that you can sort of hopefully do the right thing for your client. And
what a great story. I love that. The clock and the photos, it seems backwards, as we'd say, but
yes,
it's great you were able to sort it. I love the idea of taking a picture of something as a memory, and then it takes up no space. It's just the visual.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
another.
Many clients of mine have not had memory boxes, so we've started memory boxes for them, and they're so useful, Betsy, because, you know, as I say, you can take the photo and put something in there for them, or the things that we all have around us sometimes that we just love and we don't know what to do with. If you put them in a memory box and label it as that person's memory box, it's wonderful, isn't it? Because they know they can go back and have a look. But the thing I realize is that once people know it's in there, they don't necessarily need to go and have a look. They just need to know it's there.
Well, I love that. That's excellent. Okay. Let me think. Is there anything that you also wanted to share in terms of? I know you've got this wonderful website, hspacecouk. A lot of people in the group, or many of the people in the group, are also in other countries. So do you have recommendations, or are you, I noticed that you included your phone number and your website address. Are you happy for people, if they have a question about a particular issue, to contact you through the website?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, if they just want to email me, that's great. I'll get back to them. Yeah, I'd love to hear from people.
That'd be fantastic. And can you also give recommendations on how they might find someone that could help them if they want someone, you know, in their home decluttering with them, if they're in other countries? Are there other groups like you all over the world?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could do that. But what I would say is, if you are going to use a declutterer, make sure that they have got insurance, and make sure that they've had a criminal record check, and that you know about that, that you see the certificate, so that you know that you're dealing with somebody who A, is honest, and B, if they drop your price as far as, they're going to be insured. That's really, really important. So I would look out for those two things.
Excellent tips. what have I missed? Can you think of anything that you would, if you were talking with someone about what you do, you would share?
Oh, I think the reasons people call us in is quite an interesting one. I think people, the clients that I've had so far have either they've been downsizing. So that's a very common one. People need to just clear stuff. But I've also had situations where there's been blended families where people have, one family is going to be moving in with another when the parents remarry. So they're bringing the children together, which can be quite difficult. The way we declutter with children in particular is a very specific thing to do. You really do need some training around that, which I have had. But I always work with the young people themselves, not with the parents.
Okay.
Because you really have to value what they're thinking. You really have to listen and value what they're thinking, particularly the boys. Then we've also had clients who have moved to the country, so they've got packing boxes everywhere that they need to unpack, and they need to make some sense of it. So again, you know, we're specialists in putting stuff away in a funny kind of way, sorting things out, zoning your kitchen, for example, so things make sense, you know, so that you've got the kettle there with the coffee and the tea there and the teaspoons here, and you know, this sort of things, that's all in the right place. So there are many reasons why clients call us in. It's very often because they have a feeling as well, and they just know they need to sort something out. But I have had one client where it all went horribly wrong, I must say, because she knew there was something not right and she just wanted to get something sorted out, but it wasn't the decluttering that was a problem. There was a sort of a marital issue. And as we went on throughout the day, it was clear that she just wasn't coping, and we had to actually come away. Okay. And we didn't hear from her again, which is fine, you know, but I really felt very sorry for her, because I wish we could have done something to really help her, but it wasn't working. So you know, it's been very interesting to sort of get to the bottom of why people call you in. Of course, bereavement is again another massive issue, and you know, we get called in a lot to help people that have been bereaved, not always recently, you know, sometimes it can be 10-15 years and they finally are ready to let go, and that's often when they're moving on to a new relationship, and it's wonderful, you know, it's really great to help them. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I particularly loved your comment about, you know, you really need to listen to the children, particularly the boys. And for those who don't know us, Helen and I have 5 boys amongst the 2 of us. So
yes,
they're boys.
yes. And
we know it's important to listen to boys.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, was there, I just wanted to reiterate some of the points, the tips that you gave us in terms of, the one was having the memory box. I love that. Listening and finding out what is really at the root of the problem, having people go around their house and see if they feel blocked, or what was the word you used? Not right, or something.
I can't remember what I said, but you can sort of sense when there is a problem. I think you need a certain amount of maturity and emotional intelligence to do this job, to be fair. So it's very often what's not being said, or just watching, you know, emotions, you know, when tears prick into somebody's eyes, you know, when they well up, obviously that is clear that there's a problem in that particular room. And it's just all about being really sensitive. But it's a massive trust thing, isn't it? Allowing someone into your house,
yes,
then showing them not only the bits that everybody gets to see, but also behind the scenes, as it were. It's a huge trust, and it's a huge honour to be invited into people's lives that way. And the satisfaction of helping somebody is, it's wonderful. You know, it's like nothing else. So I'm really fantastic. Love doing it.
It comes through in your voice and your smile and your energy about it. I have one last question too. Now we're all, as you listen to this, you think, oh God, I know someone who needs to declutter. But like as a coach myself, I know that I can't coach someone who doesn't want to be coached. Have you run into an instance where someone said, my mother needs to be decluttered, and you get there and she doesn't want to be? What happens
Yeah.
then?
That happens more often than you would think when people are downsizing. So they've got no choice. If they could carry on the way they were, if they could carry on in that space, in that house, they would never get anyone like me in. But the fact is, they may be a bit, they may be frail, elderly, whatever, for whatever reason they're moving, but they're downsizing and things have got to be sorted out, whether they like it or not. And sometimes, yes, you'll get a very efficient daughter who's phoned you up and my mum this and my dad that, all the sort of thing. And then you go over there and the parent is really not sure what they want from you or how you're going to help them. So yeah, it's about trust and working on the small things and building it up together and showing them, how it can, as I say, people, once they get into the swing of it, they do pick up quite quickly. So that's wonderful. So yeah, there are times. I had a wonderful client a couple of years ago where because we do gift vouchers, so a lot of families will give their parent a wardrobe declutter, for example, as a gift. And we had the most wonderful weekend with a client of mine, and her daughters had bought her a wardrobe declutter, and she had well over 500 items in her wardrobes, because when we put the items back, it's usually about half that goes back. I remember counting, thinking, like, that's 250 things I've put back. So we had a lot of fun down at the charity shops, as you can imagine, because we take everything away at the end of a session. We never leave anything there. And I have to say, I've never had a single client say to me that they regretted getting rid of anything. Generally speaking,
fantastic.
They don't remember what they let go.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a real stamp of approval, I'd say.
I hope so.
Well, Helen, thank you. Gosh, this has been fantastic. And I learned a lot too. So I really, really appreciate you spending time, sharing your time, and teaching us some very valuable tips. So again, when I post this in the Facebook group, I will be putting your website address so that if people have questions, they'll contact you, hspacecouk. And your website is really fun, by the way. I went back on this week just to have another look. And
oh, thank you.
I love the feel of it. Very warm and welcoming. And decluttered.
Yeah, nice and tidy.
Oh, well, thanks again. And it's so great to see you. And let's have another chat soon, please.
Lovely. Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.